Welcome. This is over ordering rational numbers. So we are going to be doing our number routine. It is called alike and difference. So in alike and difference, what do they share alike and what makes them different? Well, first of all, one is a fraction and the other one's a decimal. That's way different. What do they share alike? They're more than half. Both of them are more than half because half of 8 is 4 and this is more than half. Wait, are they equivalent? I don't know. I could say this is place value of 625 thousandths, and then I simplify it by dividing both sides by 125, and that will equal 5/8. But that seems like a lot of work. What I would do is, this is 5 divided into 8 groups. So I'm going to divide it and find out if this is true. Can 8 go into 5? No. 0 times. That's 5. Let's annex. Okay, we don't have remainders in middle school and high school, so we annex a decimal 0. We bring it down. How many 8s go into 50? 6 groups. So that's 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. Annex another 0. How many 8s go into 20? 2 times. That's 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. Annex another 0. How many 8s go in 40? 5 times. So they are equivalent. 5/8 is equivalent to 625 thousandths. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing an ambitious task with your group, your tribe, trying to answer this question. Grant measured the height of some of the cars of his miniature train set. The engine was 9/10 inch tall. The coach was 1/2 inch tall. The box was measured 3/4 inch tall, and the caboose was 3/5 inch tall. Grant lined up the car from tallest to shortest. Tallest to shortest, tallest to shortest. That's important. Explain through pictorial model or arithmetic reasoning. So you have 10 minutes to explain this. Many ways to do it. A picture. How would you explain with pictures? Well, you could draw rectangles like this, and then you shade in, cut this into tenths, and shade in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 equal part, and then you shade in 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tenths. I think that's going to be the tallest. And then this is half. I shaded half of it. And then 3/4. Cut this into fourths. I shade in 3 of the fourths. And then 3/5. So cut this into fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4. I shade in 3 of the fifths. So from what I said, the tallest is 9/10, then 3/4, then 3/5, then 1/2. That's one way to do it. Maybe you prefer decimals. Remember we learned how to turn a fraction to a decimal? Do you want to divide 9 divided by 10, 1 divided by 2, or do you want to use place values? I'm going to use place values. Do you want to use tenths or hundreds? I prefer using hundreds. How do you build 10 to 100 times 10? That's 90 hundredths. How do you build 2 to 100 times 50? That's 50 hundredths. How do you build 4 to 100 times 25? That's 75 hundredths. How do you build 3/5 to, let me go back and fill this out. How do you build 5 to 100 times 20? 3 times 20 is 60 hundredths. So 90 hundredths or 9/10 is the tallest. Then 3/4 for 75 hundredths. Then 60 hundredths 3/5, and then 50 hundredths 1/2. That's one way to do it. Or let's do another way. Do you remember elementary school how to add and subtract fraction? You learned something called common denominator, least common denominator. Do you know what 10, 2, 4, and 5 all share in common? 10, 20. Oh, I think it's 20. So the common denominator is 20. How many groups of 10 go into 20 times 2? That's 18, 20. How many groups of 2 goes into 20 times 10? That's 1020. How many groups of 4 go into 20 times 5? That is 1520. How many groups of 5 go into 20 times 4? That is 1220. So which one is the greatest? 1820, 9, 10, 15, 20, 3, 4, 12, 20, 3 fifths, and then 10, 20, 1 half. So many ways to do that. So what you're going to do now is we are going to talk about negative numbers, ordering negative rational numbers. So our first one is 1 half. So let me erase that. Uh, uh, so let me move this 1 half. So I'll move it right here. And then I'm going to mark it. This is L, and this is 1 half. Next one, negative 1 half. So I'm going to, negative means you have to go left of 0. So I'm going to mark this. This is I, and this is negative 1 half. Next one, negative 5 6. That means it goes left of 0. So it goes right here. So right now, I think that's the least of all. Remember, if it's farther on the left side, it's least. So that is R, and that's negative 5 6. The next one is 2/3. That's going to be right of 0. So it goes right here. So let me mark it. 2/3 right here, and that's S. That's 2/3. Next one is N, negative 1/8. That's left of 0. That's not a very large, that's not a very small negative fraction. So I'll mark it right here. That would be N. That's negative 1/8. Now we have 5/12. So it goes right of 0. So we mark it. That is A. That's 5/12. Next one is negative 2/3. Ugh. So negative 2/3 would be right left of 0 right here. Let me mark it. And that would be A. That'd be negative 2/3. Next one would be negative 5. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, this is getting way harder. So negative 5/12. So negative 1/12, negative 2/12, negative 3/12, negative 4/12, and negative 5/12. And let's mark it. I'm going to use a different pen color. That's going to be O, and that'd be negative 5/12. And last but not least, negative 5/8. Let's take all these out. So negative 5/8. That's going to be left of 0, and it goes right here. And let's mark it. It goes right here, and that's T right here. That goes negative 5/8 right there. Let's take this away. So what we just did is we put fractions from least to greatest using negatives. As you can tell, negative 5 6 is the least of all, and 2/3 is the greatest. But what happens if you don't have the luxury of having fraction towers like what we have? Can we use common denominator? So what common denominator does 6, 3, 2, 8, 12 all share in common? They should all share 24. So how do you build 5, 6 to 24? Times 4 times 4, that would be negative 20, 24. That is the equivalent fraction. How do you build a third to 24? Times 8, that would be negative 16, 24. How do you build negative 5/8 to 24? Times 3, that would be negative 15, 24. How do you build negative 1 half that times 12? That'd be negative 12, 24. Then negative 5 times 2 would be negative 10, 24. Then negative 1 times 3 times 8 would be negative 3, 24. Then how do you build this? Times 2 times 2, that'd be 10, 24. Then 1 half would be 12, 24. And how do you build this to 24 times 8 times 8? That would be 16, 24. So let's look at the numerators, because they all share the same denominator. Negative 20 is at the farthest, yep, negative 20, negative 16, negative 15, negative 12, negative 10, negative 3, 10, 12, 16. And using denominator, common denominator really does help you put it from least to greatest or greatest to least. So let's see if you really do understand this. So this is our, check it out. So you may draw this or whatever you want to do. Put them from least to greatest. What denominator do they all share in common? I believe they all share 24, 24, 24, 24. How do you build, how many groups of 8 going to 24? Times 3, that'd be 21, 24. Times 4, that'd be 20, 24. Times 6, that'd be negative 18, 24. Times 2, be negative 10, 24. So which one is the least? They all have the same denominator. I believe negative 18, 24 is the least, so negative 3/4. Then the next negative is negative 5/12 or negative 10/24. That's a type, by the way. And what's the next least? 20 is less than 21, so 5/6, and then 7/8. So what we did is put fractions from least to greatest. And so what you do need to know is use common denominator. It really does help save time.